Welcome back to the set on Woman Today, and sitting right next to me, true devil style, is Roger Israel. As I mentioned earlier on, Roger has had a big hand in composing the theme music for Woman Today, and I don't think I really had a chance to really thank you for that personally. It's a nice piece of music, Roger.
Well, I'm very glad that you like it.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about it?
Well, I have to do what you all would like, eh? I
see, all right. Okay, we saw a little snippet earlier on of the theme song from Go to Hell. I want to talk a bit about that because we have some time. But what is Roger Israel doing these days? The name crops up every now and again. But I mean, what mischief are you into these days?
Well, I'm sort of permanently attached to the Trinidad Tent Theatre. And whatever the Trinidad Tent Theatre is doing, as far as music is concerned, I would probably be associated. Most recently, we had a sort of a launching of a bit of the repertoire, a piece called Making New Waves, and we had that launching at Atlantis. A very daring launching, I have to say, because we had to stick it in right in the midst of a disco-going crowd, you know, and we got some mixed reception.
Sort of mixed reaction from the crowd, you mean?
Yeah. Well, some people were very impressed and turned on by it. Some people, I think, just come out to heckle here, full stop.
Let's talk a bit about the Trinidad Tent Theatre. I mean, how permanent is it as a fixture in terms of local art?
Art is a tricky term, and I normally try to stay away from that.
Okay, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Trinidad Tent Theatre is an opportunity for people who feel, or rather, people who prefer not to be involved in pretentiousness. People who are interested in personality building, nation building, building of self, all those cliches and things. Or people who really would like to be honest with themselves and get a chance to be honest with other people. I think the Tent Theatre serves as a very good base for such people. So it just so happens that we do things to the public, I think, but as a group, it is very vibrant other than that.
That's a very tricky area, you know, saying that basically what you are as a group of people who are really not involved in any kind of pretensions or pretentiousness, when the very aura of showbiz or anything that has to do with performing seems to me to have that certain kind of affected way about it. I mean, even if you go on there and you do a piece, you're not really being yourself. I mean, you are becoming the part that you're playing. So, I mean, how does that make for what you're saying?
Trying to squeeze me into a corner?
No, you know.
Yes, theatre is about illusions. But the illusions are based on fact. In this particular case, they're based on truth. So I might get up, I might tell you, well, look, you should ask me a certain question and I would answer it a particular way. The pretension is that we may have rehearsed it before, but the fact of the question and the fact of my answer still remains a fact.
Okay, well,
so there's a big difference between the two.
All right, well, let's establish at this point that this is not pretentious then.
Well, obviously, or else I don't know my lines.
All right. But what has Roger been doing, say, in the last 4 or 5 years, and how are you finding expression?
Well, I stumbled into the theatre in 80 with Helen Camps. Before that, I think I thought, like a lot of people still think in Trinidad that theatre is just people, as they say, acting, remembering lines and song and very pompous, etc. And I really thought so. Until 1980, that Helen asked me to participate in something. She didn't know me and I didn't know her. It was just a sort of a mutual arrangement, sort of. And I didn't realize the potential that it had. I didn't realize for many years that I had been playing a sort of theatrical music. My music had always been sort of graphic. It would be literal in form. Oh God, I hate these words, right? I would have something to say, and I would feel that, look, it's not enough simply to just put it on a piece, on tape or something like that. It would be nice if somebody could visually make it into more than that, you know. Use all the senses involved, right? And when I stumbled into Helen Camps's productions, I realized that this was an opportunity for the pieces to become more than simple musical pieces. And I think she also realized the potential. She has a way of recognizing a good thing when she sees it. Aha, ta-da. And yeah, we just hit it off. I think as far back as 68 or 69, I found in a diary the other day that I had written down, wouldn't it be nice if when you bought a record and you put it on the turntable, that what you get was not just sound, but you get somebody doing something visual. And I'm now seeing that we're catching up with that with the video market. It's really strange that it's all coming around. But it means that I think we were dead on from very early. So from 1980 to now, I've been involved with Helen Camps in productions, musical productions. And originally the company was all Trinidad Theatre Productions, and since 82 it has been Trinidad Tent Theatre with a tighter group of people. And for those who know about it, there's not really nothing to say, you know. They know what's happening. And for those who don't know, it's, well, all I could say is tough luck, you know.
And no, I don't say tough luck, you know, we have to do something about that. But where's your direction in music, your focus? I mean, it must come from somewhere. Maybe let's not talk about, as they say, at this point in time, the cliche, but where has the music come from? How have you evolved musically over the years?
Influences.
Yeah.
I try to stay like the ordinary person. Well, I thought it was ordinary until I started seeing some other things, right? I try to stay like the ordinary person as far as appreciation of music is concerned. In other words, I don't go and buy records of a certain type and listen to them to pick up a style or anything like that. I just let myself hear just as everybody else hears music without paying much attention to it. So time comes for me to paint an image of a certain sort. I might want to paint a love scene or something, and in a particular locale, flowers and stuff. And I really don't know what you're supposed to do to paint that, thank God. All I do is try to recall from my impressions what would work for such a situation. I think I'm very sensitive to that. And as such, I come up with something, and it works, and nobody knows why it works. I don't know why it works. And the connoisseurs will come and say, no, you're not supposed to do that. You know, really, you really should have used a piece like this or a minor there. And I say, but hell, that may not have worked. In fact, it would not have worked, because the ordinary person doesn't really get into connoisseurship of this stuff. He just deals in what eventually floats down to him.
Let's steal a minute or so from some time we have later on in the program in wrapping up. Tell me a little bit about Go to Hell. What's happening with Go to Hell?
Well, Go to Hell was the last major production, you could say, that we had at the tent. Well, the tent is leaking horribly now, so we're trying to get a new tent. So that was the last one we have actually had at the tent before putting a big X on it. We had it just before Carnival. It ran for a couple of weeks. It was hugely successful. It's really just kind of nonsensical, it was. But people seem to love that particular production. It was basically story of some jabs and the king of hell, who decided that, look, we don't have enough people in hell and we have to advertise. The theme song Go to Hell is really just saying that, look, we have lots of lovely things down there, saunas, we have very influential people. That production has now become a part of the tent's repertoire, so it might just happen anywhere at any time, you know. Part of the tent's aim is to take theatre to the people, take it out to all the outlying areas, in Tobago, up the islands, to people who will not otherwise have been able to come and see it in our posh and bourgeois areas. And also to share with them what goes into the making of a production. And as such, these shows have been structured along lines that make them portable and flexible.
Well, that's terrific. Roger, well, we recorded your little gig on the theme song Go to Hell earlier on. Let's maybe take a look at it now.
fork is a fork if you know where we're going. You'll learn how to walk and to talk like they do. I'm going to jump and shout, boast all about it. Don't have to proper Constantinople. The weather is warm all year round where we going. So people get tan on their hand everywhere. Don't care, the king of the land is job, job, ole, olambe. Don't have to grumble, no. Let me go, let me go. Go to hell, go to hell, go to hell, go to hell like a sinner. You could bust up a big door. If you're still lonely, you get slim and trim and you ain't doing nothing overnight. Go to hell, go to hell, go to hell, go to hell with the winner. Ole olambe, jab, jab, ole olambe. Ole olambe, jab, jab, ole olambe. Ole olambe, jab, jab, ole olambe.
Welcome back to Women Today on channels 9 and 14, and we have a couple minutes to chat with. Look at it, you know, I have on this set with me two different types of artists, you know, for want of a better expression. You finding a lot of motivation, a lot of feeling, and a lot of expression in your art form, and then Roger here, who says he's very literal. Roger, what do you see for yourself in the next couple of years, and being so involved as you are with the Tent Theatre and theatre in Trinidad?
I think that hopefully the Tent Theatre itself is going to become more one body, right? We're working on that now. All the members are actually developing skills and finding out that they have skills that they didn't know that they had before, to a point that the tent is becoming sort of self-sufficient, independent. I expect that I will be involved with them for a very long time to come.
You'll have some very real problems like venue and finance and that sort of thing. Is it that the artist does not have his rightful place in our society? Does he have to always scrunt and scrounge for a living?
It's a tricky question. I expect that the Tent Theatre will have to go through hard times before it realizes any sort of prosperity. Fair. But at the same time, that effort is made ever so much more difficult because there are so many, what I would call the pseudos around. So many people who claim to be doing similar things and who more or less exhaust the existing resources. Whether resources are the tolerance of the society, the finance that might be available from people who are willing to help, a theatre market that doesn't really exist. What they do is they frustrate people who are actually may have been wanting to be part of that. These pseudos, and I can't call anybody in particular, but by failing to be effective, give the general impression that theatre is not really going any place, or is really
stagnant.
It's really pretentious or something like that. I think luckily with the Tent Theatre, normally when people go through experiences with us, that they sort of revive their interest in theatre. But we have to pay a hell of a price just to get those people in.
Glenn, I don't know if you have any feelings, in the last minute or so about the place or the rightful place of the artist in our society. I mean, Roger's a whole different kind of artist, as I said before. But even, people like yourself, painters or however you want to classify yourself, how do you see yourself in a society?
You're seeing it from that level at this given point in time.
Well, gentlemen, I'm sure we can carry this discussion on after we leave the set. Thanks so much for guesting with us tonight. Glenn Rupchan, Roger Israel. My two guests on Woman Today for this evening, Glenn Rupchan and Roger Israel. Want to thank you all for viewing. Do join us again next Thursday at the same time when we'll join you for another edition yet of Woman Today. Do have a good evening, and from us it's good night.